Okay, concept design stage. Isn't it exciting? I love concept design stage. It's where everything starts to kind of come to surface and take shape, but it's not like fully detailed, but you are just kind of, playing around with things, playing around with ideas, and it's just exciting. It's exciting. It's like the first time where you really get to explore what your client has asked for. And today in this video, we are just doing that. I am taking you along with a real project concept design that I'm doing at the moment. Yay, that was good. Gotta put the shades on, sorry guys. So I'm gonna try to do everything real time, talk about everything as it happens, and kind of not much of this is going to be scripted. Just because I wanted to show you the real deal. I could have sat down and done the usual thing where I deliver this information bit by bit and it's all that sort of style. But I thought I've got this opportunity where I'm doing a concept design for a real project, and it's quite a cool concept as well. And I will just be able to show you why things matter, how I'm making my decisions, what is the client feedback, and hello, where is she? And where this all ends in, because this project is very real project. It's not a one that has unlimited budget, or I don't know, maybe is like working with a developer where there's not real constraints. Like, this is a real business, they are doing real things, and it's just gonna be great. It's gonna be lots of fun. But first I need to wear out this dog, and then we'll go back home, sit at the desk, and I'll talk you through what the plan is. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, let me catch you up with things where we are. In general, concept design stage includes layout, so the first kind of exploration of the space, layout proposals, a bit of back and forth with the client to double check that everything is included and people are happy with the layout. Then usually alongside of the layout proposals, you get mood boards, which basically gives you the look and feel, gives you a little bit more detail about how things could look and kind of the vibe. Maybe sometimes you give a couple of options for look and feel, but usually it's just kind of like one overall vision that you have created for the client from the briefing session that you have had in the discovery phase, as I like to call it. So where we are with this project, that's the stuff that we have done. We've agreed on a layout. I think we had, I don't know, 2 or 3 proposals, kind of a bit of back and forth. So we did that, and we did a mood board presentation, the concept, look and feel. All of the presentations, apart from the very first meetings with the client on site, have been online, simply just because of the nature of all of our businesses, and it was the easiest thing to do, to just catch up online. We have agreed on the look and feel. I know the elements that I'm using, I know the color scheme, and the vibe that I'm going for. So now I'll show you in a minute. I've got the 3D ready, the 3D shell. I'm working with another person on this project, and he's already prepared the shell for me and the ceiling construction. So what I need to do now is go in and start modeling up all of the 3Ds and adding the scheme basically onto the model. We've done this for a few reasons. First of all, to save some costs, because we had a little bit of a miscommunication there in the beginning, so we had to be smart about this. So he has done some work for me to start with, so I can just go in and go full speed rather than building it up myself and kind of like spending more time on it, aka more fees, more cost. And also it just makes sense that he has been on site. He really has seen site more than I have. I have been on site, but not as much. So that's that. I'll take you through the concept and the layout that we have just to show you what we are working with. And then the next steps for me will be basically, yes, doing this 3D. I sort of only have until tomorrow afternoon, kind of Thursday. So I've got like a 2.5 days. Oh, maybe an extra day on top if I need to like really finalize it, finish it, and then create the actual presentation that we're going to present to the client. Then I need to add notes for contractor. One of the reasons why it is quite a tight time scale for this part is because we need to brief the contractor who will be visiting the site on Thursday, I think. So he really needs to see the design, walk around, so we can create a bit of a budget cost plan for this proposal. So the plan is when we are going in to present this presentation, this concept look, that we also have a rough idea, not fully detailed, but a rough good idea of how much this will cost, because it is very important in this stage to still stay realistic. And that's why I always gonna go on about get your client to tell you what their budget is, because it goes hand in hand with your design process right from the beginning when you put your first line on the drawing. So because of this reason, I need to hurry up and do the design, finish it off so that the contractor can price up and we can present it to the client hopefully next week. Maybe the week after. We will see how our schedules align and how quickly we can get these costs back. And then another thing that I need to do is order some samples. A little trick that I will give you for this concept design stage is always make note of the finishes that you are looking for, and almost like just keep like a little list on the side. It doesn't need to be fully detailed or anything. Or even when you are downloading the textures for your project to put on like countertops or flooring or whatnot, make a reference of what that product is. So when you kind of reach the stage of, okay, I need to start ordering samples, it is a lot easier to check it. It's like, okay, that's Amtico signature, that sort of codes, rather than, what company was that? Or even worse, you've not even thought about it, and then you need to bring out all of your heavy equipment and start spending time of actually specifying it. It's just a bit of a different way, more efficient way how to do things. Not always you will have to do it. Maybe on some projects you will have the time to be a lot more kind of, let's sit down and look through these sample books and think about it in long, but that's not usually the case. So that's what's happening. So yeah, and then we're gonna wrap up with the client presentation. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can take you all the way. So that will be fun. That's the breakdown of what we are doing today. Well, not today, in the next week or two. Let me show you the design, okay? Okay. I'm going to have you here and I'm going to record the screen, so hopefully this is all making sense now. So this presentation happened when we've already had discussed the floor plan options. So I'm just going to walk you through it. So as we come in, we have the reception area, and it's sort of like an open space, opens up to a lounge area as well, because that's what the client wanted, kind of like this communal space where people can interact, and at the same time the guests are welcomed when they come, and it feels more inviting. So the actual reception desk is a bit like almost like a table desk solution rather than just like a standard reception unit. And then obviously we have this lounge area with a TV media wall with some storage. We have a pool table that can actually convert into a dining table solution or a meeting table, and underneath the pool table we have like a long bench that sort of just goes underneath, and we can pull it out when we need seating, and we can grab a few of these like, what are they called, stools, low stools, there we go, and you can push them to the table, set up, steal some other chairs from around the area and kind of make it like this new setup if it needs to be like a group meeting or whatnot. But the main thing was that they needed a pool table in there, so that's what we delivered. And then we have a little kitchen unit, straight unit, which has got your fridges in it, your storage solutions, there's coffee machines and that sort of thing. We've not detailed it up just yet because that's like the next step, but we've allowed for that amount of space to house all of those units. And then we've proposed the central island, which will be sort of bar stool height, breakfast bar height, which gives us extra sort of social seating space, and kind of opens the space up for not just kitchen. Like, as we all know, kitchen is the heart of the home or heart of the office, and that's where people love to chat and catch up and just kind of connect with each other. So this whole space is just chef's kisses. I love it. I think it's going to be amazing, especially for this size of this office. Is going to be wow, amazing. Okay, so we're moving on. We walk past two little meeting rooms which have glazing on one wall, and then it's very much simple, basic, a touchdown point, private conversations for smaller groups, or even for just individuals when they need to have some kind of a call, whatnot. And then we walk into the collaborative work sort of hot desking zone, because the client did not want all desk space to be fixed desks. So as people come in, that's my desk, that's where I sit. They still wanted to have that flexibility because people are working from home, they are coming in. It's very much kind of mixed situation at the moment. So we have this huge collaborative desk in the middle, obviously with your charging points, but where people can just drop in and pop their laptops down and just work from there for the day. And we have two booths that we'll see how it goes, but probably going to be full height kind of walls, and just gives you that sort of intimacy there if you want to have a bit of like private discussions and whatnot. Some storage along the wall, TVs, and then in between this, in the middle of this sort of flexible working area, we have some soft seating, which again can be used for work, could be used for catch-ups, for quick meetings, for chit-chat. It's very much about this agility of trying to use the most of the space and trying to provide what people are looking for at the moment. People do not want to sit at desks, and they can do their work away from the desk. So we're trying to give a bit of this, a bit of that, like as much as the space allows. And then we get onto this actual like workstation, classic workstation style layout. We have a row of hot desks with screens. So these will have two screens on each of the base, and over here as well. But these are flexible in a way that people will not have them as a base. You know, you can't leave your stuff there. Like if you leave, then you leave, you take all of your things, and it's nice and clean. So from a vision through the space, when people or guests come in, they see sort of this communal, lively area rather than just desks. And you know how people love to set up their bases. Like, it's okay, I understand it, but you know, visually it's not usually the best thing. So we've proposed that this area is going to be that more clean version, and then as you go down into the space, you have the fixed desks with your screens, and even that is kind of like further down where people can create their own little universe, their own little world, and their own little base. So both of them, so we have low storage units, we have full wall storage, and then at the very far corner we have the printing and recycling station, which obviously you have to have in offices, but they are not usually the nicest to be around. They are hard really to design. so that they look nice and neat, because people will always make a mess around there, and they are also quite noisy and quite loud. So we wanted to kind of push that as far as we can into the space. So we found this lovely little area, little nook that it actually fits in perfectly, and there's plenty of space around it as well, since it is a fire route through there as well. And then at the far corner we have this 8 to actually 10 person meeting room, which was requested to be soundproofed because a lot of important discussions, conversations are going on during these meetings. The current setup that they have is not really sound absorbent. Those are just like, if you know, these little partition walls that just, I don't know, back in the 90s, early 2000s were set up in the offices. They were not soundproof. They were just like a cardboard wall, and even like the top of the wall would not be fixed to the ceiling, so the sound would still escape. So obviously, because of those reasons, there's no privacy. You can't have important discussions that you don't want the rest of the staff to be hearing. So what we've proposed is actually, let's move that away from all of the noise, all of the busyness of the office, and put it all the way on the side. Plus, what we've proposed is to put the storage unit on one side of the wall, and then we have the printing station on the other side. So that means that there's going to be extra level of kind of soundproofing / zoning, kind of getting people away from the space, but to have a bit of vision through and let the space breathe a little, so you don't feel like you are kind of, you know, entering some kind of a forbidden zone. We still have a bit of glazing there, and obviously the door can be glazed. So that's the layout. Now let's move on to the rest of the presentation. So the client wanted to look at sustainable solutions. How can we approach this project from a sustainability viewpoint? Because the way they are reconfiguring their company as well, they are putting sustainability first. So this refurb, it had to have meaning. It had to go along with that sustainable mission. So this is a part of concept design stage as well. You don't just think about the visual, beautiful aspects of it. You start to think from the core, like what are the values? What are we trying to achieve with this project? So for example, in this project, we are using some of the existing furniture, some of the existing tech. We are zoning the space correctly. Sustainability is not just recyclable materials, it's also well-being of the staff and making sure that you use the space correctly so that you don't use more electric or more heating and that sort of thing. So you think about it holistically, and that's all part of the concept stage. It can't just come in later down the line. Of course, sustainable materials, we'll look at some fun, interesting new solutions. And like I said, the well-being factor, we are introducing biophilia. There's so much research done on the fact how much biophilia, nature, can affect our well-being. So we are definitely taking that into account, whether it's a small plant pot or a whole partition wall, or something hanging from a ceiling. We are looking at that and thinking about acoustics as well. So zoning, I sort of talk you through it. This is what we kind of wanted to start with in the presentation. So we've addressed the fact that we are thinking about sustainability. We are not just leaving it at the end, which I remember we used to do a few years ago, where it was like, oh yeah, and we thought about sustainability. In this presentation, it was important for us to start with the fact that all the decisions that we've made so far have been based on sustainability. Now we're going into zoning, kind of explaining the layout as we travel through, color coding it. It's just easier to understand it, because what you need to understand is that you've been looking at this for forever, you know, day and night, but the client, this is the first time that they are probably seeing this. So you need to make it as easy to understand and digest as possible. It's the first time they're seeing this. There's a lot of information that you are just throwing at them. Kind of dumb it down, simplify it as much as possible. So this sort of color coding really helps when you're trying to explain maybe like the journey through the space or the areas, and really just like the whole concept of the layout. And then as we talk through the different areas, we kind of start with the journey of the employee or a visitor or a guest, whoever is going to be going into the space. I always think that is the best way to start explaining your concept. It just makes sense that you kind of like can imagine how you are walking through the space. So I had the reception, quite like nice neutral palette, neutral tones, very warm and welcoming and modern. Then we have the little kitchenette area, which I talked about, some details about maybe the color scheme and the finishes that we are thinking about, a few options for like the overhead bended ceiling things, feature ceiling, a bit more about the island. Then moving on to lounge. So if you imagine the reception is supposed to be quite kind of toned down, neutral, then the lounge where the liveliness is, where we want people to feel comfortable, relaxed, entertained, and being like connected to everyone. That's where we bring in the colors and quite like happy colors, vibrant oranges and blues and yellows and that sort of fun stuff. And then some natural elements in the TV wall. In the flexible workspace, again, we are continuing with that vibrant energy. So vibrant colors, some artwork that comes in, and which actually the artwork now is going to be tied into the company's missions and all of that interesting stuff. Some lighting up options, booth seating. And then as we go down to the fixed workspace, again, we mute the tones down and the colors are a lot more natural. Finishes are kind of minimal, plain, just to keep the focus on the, this is a calm zone, this is a quiet zone kind of thing you have there. So for meeting rooms, few different options. These were more like practical solutions, so like swivel chairs instead of like maybe fixed base or a roll base, because it's a small space, so swivel chairs work well. Speaking about acoustics, what are those solutions about lighting and that sort of stuff? Same goes to the meeting room, the boardroom. Okay, well, that is it for the concept. I really need to get going with this work because I haven't got much time left. But hopefully this has given you some insight of what concept design stage is like. Well, a part of it. So next thing for me is really to crack on with these 3Ds and get it up to a level where I can note it up and we can pass on that information to the contractor who's going to be quoting us for the budget quote. And then, yeah, move on with the rest. So I'll get cracking with that and I'll check in with you at some point when there's more to show. Okay, a bit of a reality check-in. I don't know why I'm even surprised. I shouldn't be surprised, but I think a part of me just thought that maybe this time it will work out. Well, it will work out. Let's not over dramatize. But the reality check is that we are very likely over budget, and which means the stuff that I have designed and will be proposing later today is nowhere near what the client's budget can afford. So that's the fun part of concept design stage, is that you never know where this is gonna end up in, especially when you got tight budgets, when every little £100 here and there really matters. I just had a catch-up call with my business partner. He's done the high level budget cost, so this is high level. This is very much guesstimating a lot of numbers because we haven't worked out the detail of how things will be built, what are the actual specifics of a material, where can we save money, and that sort of thing. That is kind of the next step. So that's where the high level budget comes in play. It's very much rough estimates, and just to give a bit of a reality check and understanding for both sides, for the designer and the client, to know where we are, like roughly how much is this going to cost that you are proposing us. And yeah, unfortunately we are over. I knew we will be over. I had it in my gut, but we thought, and the kind of approach that we are doing actually today is that we will show the client what is possible, what they have asked for, and what it costs. If we would have started with a lot more simplified, watered down version that probably hit the spot with the budget, then there would kind of be no place for growth. It would just kind of be, okay, well, is what it is, and probably would not be inspiring at all. So, you know, you kind of have to pick your battles when it gets to this, and I don't know, stay hopeful. I got a few last minute fix ups to add to the presentation, and we have a call in about 4 hours. Yeah, in about 4 hours we'll do a Zoom call to present the designs, which is exciting because they haven't seen the proposal yet, and I think it's a very nice proposal. I'm quite happy and pleased with it. It's just, you know, reality. It's great to dream, and it's great to have projects that have big budgets, but in reality, in real world, most of the projects have quite tight budgets, and especially currently the prices are so high compared to what they were, and labor costs have gone up. Everything has just gone up, and I don't think clients' mindset has gone up yet, you know, to meet those standards. So we're kind of fighting that battle now. Anyways, I'll get on with work, and I'll catch up with you after the call, see what we come up with.
Utopia, and doing it that way, I think, has helped them to say, even to rethink a couple of things, like with the booze and that. So
yeah,
I don't know how you thought it went, but I thought it went well.
I think it went really well, especially because you had the discussion about the budget beforehand. So, you know, I think we turned it around quite good. Okay, it was fine. It was absolutely fine, to be honest. Really good call. The client loved the design and everything we proposed, but because my business partner had the budget discussion with them beforehand, they were obviously already kind of aware of the fact how much everything was going to cost, and that it wasn't hitting the budget. So it was a good presentation considering all of that. So our next steps now are, the concept design stage does not end here just yet. We have arranged a meeting for next week where we will regroup in person, come together and look at the budget line by line, look at the design, and kind of just make our priorities. So there might be some elements that we really want to keep, and there are elements that we can get rid of. So that is cost saving and kind of balancing out the numbers there. We also gonna hopefully get another contractor on site just to look at some of the works, because the way that we are approaching the install of this might be, rather than going to one big contractor and asking to do all the works, we will go out to different trades people and do it that way. Because what happens with contractors, if you go to one point of contact, it's great because it kind of gives you the opportunity to not feel like you need to do much more, as they kind of just take responsibility for everything. But what happens there is they most likely will outsource themselves, and they will put a margin on top of the outsourced trades costs, whatever it comes to. So there's kind of like margin of the tradesman tradeswoman, tradespeople, then margin of the contractor, then it comes to us, and then we ideally want to make some margin as well. So at the end, you can see how that starts to pile up. So need to be a little bit smart there. It does give us a bit more responsibility, but you know, it's a tight budget. We need to make it work, and it's in our best interest to deliver the concept that we have created. It's great looking place and great concept, so fingers crossed. For next week, I need to get all the samples plus extras. So it could be the ideal finish and then a budget version of the finish, and then once again we can figure out where we kind of make sacrifices and where we choose like the nicer material and nicer finish. Still quite a lot to do until we can wrap up the concept stage, but we are not far off. After next week we will be able to get into detail stage, and that is something else. So I need to go and have a bit of a breather before I get onto another call, but I will definitely keep you up to date with the samples, with the finishes when they come in, because that's such an exciting part of this whole process as well. Even though, you know, the budget thing is kind of like downer and yeah, it's not great, but at the same time there's still a lot of exciting and interesting things happening here. So I'm gonna catch up with you when I have more samples with me and hopefully show you a little bit of our meeting bits and bobs. We'll see. Okay guys, so it's been a few weeks since we last, well, me and the camera spoke. The reason being is because the project kind of got stuck in this never-ending budgeting stage, which is challenging to say the least. Yes, so this project is very much budget driven right now. The client loved the proposed design, everything was going well, of course, until we hit this budgeting issue. The design has kind of been revised back and forth. The current situation is that we are actually going to be looking at some more cost-effective solutions, let's say furniture wise, maybe even lighting wise, that are for residential spaces. But the fact that this office is not going to be used as heavily and as often as maybe a larger commercial office would, then we feel like with a kind of a higher end, good quality residential product, you can still get away with. But I still went through the process of specifying finishes, fabrics, tabletops, countertops, all of that good stuff. So I still have the finishes, and as I'm going through the project, I still need to refer back to that color scheme. So that work was not wasted, and I can still show you samples of like the flooring that we are using and wall coverings that we are using. So it still applies, and I think it's still going to be quite fun to look at it. So let's start with the kitchen and kind of move through the space again as we did before. I'll show you some examples on the screen as I'm talking through it and compare like the original proposed design to like what we have at the moment, kind of like currently what we are pricing. Okay, so kitchen wise, I have gone with an Egger laminate, which is kind of a nice light wood. What's the sand Gladstone oak? Yeah, so like a nice oak finish or oak effect finish. I love Egger laminates. We use them in commercial projects all the time. They are durable and they are really good quality and a good effect. So I don't hesitate going to Egger for all of my laminates ever. And then for the countertops, we have a budget option, which is this Terrato effect laminate, and this one's from Polyray. I have used this in a project before and it's performed really well. It's been a year since the project was installed and it is still performing, still looks almost like brand new, so I am happy to go with it. If we had the budget, this was the original kind of proposal. Let's see. I have no idea how this video is gonna focus, so bear with me. This was from Hymax Terrazzo Classico, which is a solid surface, not a natural finish, but it's very durable and used a lot in commercial projects, but our budget does not stretch that far, so we're gonna go for a nice laminate alternative. And again, because this office is not going to be used as often, as heavily, the traffic is not gonna hit these surfaces so much, I'm happy and I'm comfortable with proposing a laminate finish. That is more than you need. Okay, tiles, the feature tile. We have a lovely backsplash and hopefully the budget can stretch to cover the front of the island as well. I am drowning in blue tile samples because the original plan was to go with kind of a monotone, quite flat design for the tile, not shiny, not glossy, just like a nice satin finish, so it gives you that nice feeling, that softness. But I just could not get the right sample. I could not get the right tone and or the size even. It just wasn't happening. So I was like, okay, well, show me the other ones, because there's quite a few kind of these glazed artisan looking ones. So we have one option, which is this. Yes, glossy and very much multiple tone. But as I was putting them together with the other samples, I was like, this actually works. And to be honest, from a practicality viewpoint, these sort of dual tone, multi-tone ones, and this is another example. This one's more like a denim-y rather than that sort of a deep blue. Yeah, so from practicality point of view, these glazed and multicolored ones, multi-tone ones, are easier to clean and you can't see that many stains and all sorts of other things that happen, you know, in front of a kitchen sink. So it's actually a better solution than a fully flat monotone design where you can see every single fingerprint and spot and all sorts. So I was gonna, okay, we change things, change in concept design stage all the time. Until you've placed the order, it can change until then. Even until then. Now, speaking of furniture, like I said, we are looking at some alternatives which will obviously come off the shelf and then I will just have to adapt the design, but I'm using these as guides. So these are Panaz faux leather fabrics or vinyl, high performance vinyl, and for two reasons. First of all, it's durability. Absolutely love faux leather and vinyl. I need to just pick one. I'll call it vinyl. Let's call it, no, flooring is vinyl. I'll call it faux leather, okay? I'll call it faux leather. And the first reason is durability. Faux leathers are great for commercial spaces and especially where there's a lot of food, a lot of traffic going through, which leads to the second reason, which is easy to clean. Doesn't need any kind of specific cleaning products, very much just soapy water, soapy warm water. Great for cleaning these. One of the tones is more like lighter blue, sort of a baby blue, and the other one is deeper. If I was to go with the commercial furniture, that's what I would be picking from. Depending which tile I'd go for, I'd kind of figure that out. So at the moment, still, even though we are quoting for one of the tiles, I have a plan B just in case we need to switch things around depending on what the furniture will come in and what the finishes will be on there. You know, it's good to have options. Tip there for you to have options. Okay, flooring in the kitchen, we have again sort of a terrazzo finish, terrazzo effect flooring. This is my first choice and that is Tico, Spacia, Gibson. But again, if the budget does not stretch, we have a more of a budget version which is from Floor. I do not have the specifics here, but both of them I'm happy with. I would be happy to go with both of them. Performance wise, I know they perform well, easy to clean, even though they are quite light. Both are commercial grades and all that good stuff. Just gonna come down to budget. So we'll see. That's kitchen. Let's move on to the lounge. Lounge had to get a bit of value engineering as well, simply because we just needed to cut the costs. So we simplified the design. Originally we had a beautiful detailed media unit with lots of storage cupboards and things like that. And now we have very much simplified it to a few floating shelves on each side of the central screen. Still have a base unit, kind of low level with cupboard doors, and we've sort of tried to mimic this design that was originally proposed with kind of just zoning out the three parts, the kind of three parts of the back wall. And in the central section we will have this design wallpaper. It's from Textura Harriet 05. Lovely kind of, it's not vinyl backed, it's not fabric backed, but it's very durable. Like I can fold it around like a vinyl, and this is all durable as well, wipeable, washable if needed. Not in this scenario where it's just going to be the back wall for the TV, but if you were to use this next to like a booth seating or tables where there is going to be some action happening, it's easy to wipe and clean. Good to know. So that will be our feature wallpaper. Then the color fabric selection that I've gone for the multiple furniture is, if you remember when I talked about the concept for the living space, it needs to be quite lively and we are bringing color in. So I've gone for, again, I've got options just in case. I've gone for these greens, have a bit of flexi there. This one's quite interesting. It's good for like rounded furniture, so it stretches around the curves quite well. And then there is this nice green velvet one, so quite two light ones. Then we have a darker vinyl, what did I say? I'm gonna call them faux leathers. Faux leather there for one of the for two armchairs. And originally we had stools, but we don't have any more, so I picked like two oranges, again, a nice little velvety one, and one of the faux leathers. Those are gone now. We only have two armchairs and a larger sofa, so green and blue. And when I'm picking my options now for the furniture, then I'm looking at something that matches these colors. So these are serving me as the base of making my decisions. Work is not wasted. And for flooring, we have a very simple solution. This one, we are going with a carpet, commercial carpet. This one's from Interface. It is Dolomite Diamond, but Interface does come with a hefty price tag, so I have looked for more of a budget option, which is from Forbo. It's called Tessera Layout Nugget. That is obviously, when you look at the designs, it's a lot more simplified option. It hasn't got that little glimmer of what the Interface one has, the detail, but again, it comes down to budget, so that is my budget option there from Forbo. Moving on to the open flexible workspace. Now this area has changed quite a bit from the original proposal. We decided to simplify the booth design, kind of strip it back a little, quite a bit, and open up the design, cost savings there. We decided to bring in some existing furniture, which then started to kind of interact with the color scheme that I had proposed. So I had to very much kind of jig around, move around a lot of colors, a lot of items, and we've also simplified a little bit more on maybe like the furniture side. Like, do we really need this much? Can we just have less? Another thing that has changed is in the smaller meeting rooms. We don't really have any acoustic panels in there because acoustic panels, you know, any kind of acoustic solutions are expensive. But if I was to go with, I decided to go with Allsfar selection. From all of the suppliers that I went out to, Allsfar seemed to be the best with design and the best with the price. So you kind of have to see where you are. Some companies come back with really nice, really good prices, but the design and the color is just not there. So this is where the concept design stretches out so much. It's just a lot. So all of that had to change, and hopefully on the screen when I'm showing you the proposed design and then the revised design, you can see how that has changed. Oh, and here we have new little feature feature wallpaper. This one's again is from Textura. Oh, it's quite cute, isn't it? So nice when it's like right next to you. It's from afar, it looks quite like monotone, but it's a little surprise when you get closer. This one's called Dashing 48015. So that will be next to the booth seating. And for booth seating, we have this vinyl. Lovely. And then, oh, sorry, don't break. And then for the wood, we'll have the same wood that was in the kitchen. I'm using the same wood everywhere on all the joinery, so it like really all comes together. I prefer doing that on smaller projects. If there's a bigger project, then yes, you can mix up the woods, but I like to keep the same. So this is going to be a nice little action for the booth seating. Oh, and then for the booth tables, we also have this like stone effect dark marble, oh I guess it's marble effect laminate, going with my laminates again, and that one's from Egger, light grey Valmecino marble. It just gives that nice little difference between, you know, you've got your wood, you've got your stone. I do love to mix wood, stone, pattern, colour, all the things. So that is for the booths. For the rest of the furniture, again, it's going to be a mix of existing furniture, which are like these dark blue chairs. We have a dark wood table coming in. Let me see, this kind of colour, you know, sort of a darker wood. So that's the meeting table now. And then around it, I'm looking for other options, but I'm trying to use the other colours that I originally proposed. And then for the back wall, we are creating another little feature moment there. I'm going for the same pattern that was in the lounge, but in a different colorway. So this one's got like greys and greens, whereas the one in the reception had more like just the beigey terracotta greys. So that's that. And for the paneling, we'll have the laminate as well. Flooring wise, we got a nice little curvature happening there, just to show the direction through the space and zone it quite nicely as well. For the main walkway, I have a floor vinyl, which is a nice light wood called Lounge Oak in beige by Jerfloor. This is the only option that I'm going for. I'm happy with the price, happy with the design, so I don't really need another one. If I do, then I'm gonna have a look, but I'm happy to go with it. And under all of like the furniture there, in this multi workspace, we will have interface. But if not, if we can't get the price right, then we're gonna go for that 4-bow alternative. So that is another like a vibrant area there. Oh, another thing, in those little meeting rooms, the situation at the moment is hopefully I can have this. Look at that, look at that. Oh, love it. This would be the carpet. It's by Interface, Collins Cottage, Hound Charcoal. I love the design, but it has been so hard to find something on a budget that's similar. And the closest thing that I've found for now is this from Forbo. Tessera outline cola bottle. So it's got these sort of lines. I know, it's not the same. It's not the same, but if we have to do it, then we'll do it. And we have around the meeting room more of the dashing in this nicer kind of like creamy tone. So that's the walls, not all of them. I think it's just one of the feature walls. That's the floors. Then we have tables in this. Yeah, you follow me? And originally, well not originally, but when I did the revision, at first we wanted acoustic ceiling panels and sort of like the top section to go around, acoustic panels as well. But at the moment it's looking like acoustic panels are out and paint is in. So we will have dark green ceiling section painted there. So we are still achieving the visual aspect, the visual effect of it all, but we've adapted it. Right, let's wrap this up because I feel like this video is going to be for forever. 2 acoustic solutions that we have kept and we don't want to let go of are these kind of curved full height screens and desk height acoustic dividers, and those will be in this sort of a nice yellowy finish. Unfortunately, we had to let go of some extra storage solutions, but you know, it's what it is. And the one storage unit that I proposed and we are keeping is hopefully going to be in these, where is it now? All over the place. In these 2 Egger finishes. So that will be the worktop, countertop, and these will be the doors, frontages. Originally, again, we had a beautiful, like a massive acoustic panel on one of the sides, and it's not happening. It's not happening, but the room is still going to be acoustically sealed, and we have all the right glazing and all the right partition walls in place to make it happen. I'm hoping to get this lovely interface as flooring in the boardroom. If not, then we're going to go for the alternative. We have existing chairs in there, which are more like a brighter blue. I think the closest maybe this comes, it's more brighter. That's all I can say. It's going to be an existing meeting table, which is along these lines again. So we are mixing the existing with some new, trying to achieve the best what we can. This is one of the main things in concept design stage. Even though you have to think about the budget and maybe all the restrictions that there is, it is important to push that boundary at first, because every single time, the design is going to be watered down and it's going to be pared back, and it's going to be a situation of, okay, what can we change? What could be more of a budget option? And sort of maybe feels a bit counterintuitive. It's like, okay, well, why are you doing all that work if you know that it's not going to fit? Sometimes it does. We might be able to find, you know, a discount or something that makes this happen, but we're going to change something else. And if I hadn't explored this option, then I would never know, and the design would be missing out. So all of this is just part of the process, and one thing is, don't take things too much to heart. Let go, move on. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen, and you just gotta make it happen. At the end of the day, happy client is a good project, is a successful project, and that's what we want. We don't want to be arguing about the small things and really getting, I don't know, hurt or taking it too personally, because it's not about you. It's, at the end of the day, it's about the client. It's their space. It's their project. Okay. So, right, that is it. I'm letting you guys go. This has been the concept stage of one of my latest projects. I hope you have enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions or anything else. It's been quite hectic. I hope you've kind of gotten some good information out of this, and very much a real life example. Oh, I forgot this. This is a good one. Okay, before we go, so in where the fixed desks are, originally I just had the wood vinyl kind of go throughout, but then it was a good point. When was this made? In one of the review sessions, this was made that, isn't this going to be too loud? And I was like, oh my god, of course it will. So what I did, I proposed a similar tone carpet instead of the wood vinyl. So we get the best of both worlds. We get the acoustics and we get the proposed kind of a look and feel. The design, the tones are quite similar, so it still looks like this nice, calm, beigey, yellowy type of space where people can relax and concentrate. Well, not really relax, but concentrate on their work and not get distracted by noisy floors. Okay, that's it. Follow me on Instagram. There's a lot more stuff happening there. I've got a newsletter coming out every Friday if you want a little touchdown point of all of the content that I've have shared throughout the week. So if you don't have time to keep up with socials, the newsletter is for you. And yeah, this has been Concept Design. I will see you in the next video.